A billionaire goes to a church and sees a poor girl on her knees holding a note. She says, "This is my last prayer to save my mother." He reads the note and bursts into tears. Ethan Marlowe woke up to the sound of rain tapping against his bedroom window. 2 years, 3 months, and 17 days. That was exactly how long it had been since Rachel passed away. He knew because he kept count. Every morning, the first thing on his mind was that relentless tally that refused to stop. The room still smelled like her perfume. Ethan never had the courage to wash the sheets on the side of the bed where she used to sleep. Her hairbrush still sat on the vanity, with a few strands of blonde hair clinging to the bristles. The red lipstick she wore on Sundays remained open on the dresser. At 30 years old, Ethan had built an empire. Marlowe Industries was synonymous with success, technology, and innovation. Forbes had listed him among the youngest billionaires in the country. He had everything money could buy: imported cars in the garage, a lakeside mansion, investments growing on their own. But none of that mattered since she was gone. He went downstairs to the kitchen and made coffee for one. Before, he always made coffee for two. Rachel loved her coffee strong, with a spoonful of sugar and a sprinkle of cinnamon. "Just like you," she used to say with a laugh, "strong but with a special touch that makes all the difference." The doorbell rang 3 times before he decided to answer it. On the other side was Margaret, his longtime executive assistant, holding a stack of documents. In her early 50s, her grey hair was always pinned in a perfect bun, and her reading glasses hung from a gold chain around her neck. "Mr. Marlowe, you need to sign these contracts today. The meeting with the Japanese investors is tomorrow and—" "Cancel everything," Ethan interrupted. "Not today." Margaret sighed. For the past 2 years, that had become his standard response to any commitment. The company ran on autopilot, managed by a competent team that had learned to make decisions without him. "Sir, with all due respect, Mrs. Rachel wouldn't want to see you like this." Ethan closed his eyes. Margaret had worked with them for 10 years. She knew Rachel. She knew what she was like. And she was right. Rachel always loathed it when he isolated himself for work. "Life happens while you're busy making other plans," she used to say. "Leave the papers on the desk. I'll sign them later." "Did you at least have breakfast? Should I cook something?" "I'm fine, Margaret. Thank you." Lie. He hadn't been fine for 2 years, 3 months, and 17 days. After Margaret left, Ethan stood in the entryway of the house. The rain had stopped, but the sky remained grey. It was the kind of day Rachel loved. She would say that overcast days were perfect for reflection. "On days like this, we can think without rush," she used to say, wrapped around him on the living room sofa. "No sun to distract us, no hurry to go anywhere. It's like the world pauses just so we can breathe." Without knowing why, Ethan grabbed his car keys. St. Mary's Church sat downtown in a neighborhood Ethan rarely visited. Rachel had attended there since she was a child. When they were married, she'd tried several times to get him to come along. "It's not about religion," she would explain patiently. "It's about community. About sitting in a place where everyone is equal, where it doesn't matter how much money you have or what car you drive." Ethan always found an excuse. A big meeting, a business trip, anything that sounded more urgent than sitting on a wooden pew for an hour. "One day you'll want to come with me," she said once, smiling in that way that made his heart race. "And when that day comes, I'll be waiting." She wasn't there waiting anymore, but maybe it was time to go. The church parking lot was almost empty. Only 3 cars, older models showing their wear, a Honda Civic with peeling paint, a 15-year-old Ford pickup, and a Toyota Corolla that had seen better days. Ethan stepped out of his BMW and looked up at the modest brick building before him. Red brick walls, stained glass windows depicting biblical scenes, and a wooden cross above the main entrance. A small, well-tended garden framed the doorway. It wasn't grand. It didn't cost millions like the cathedrals he'd visited on business trips around the world. But there was something about it Rachel loved, something he never understood. The door creaked as he pushed it open. Inside, the space was small and welcoming. Polished wooden pews lined up in rows, a simple altar adorned with fresh flowers, and candles flickering in the corners casting a soft, golden glow. The scent of wax and lilies lingered in the air. Ethan took a few hesitant steps down the center aisle. His Italian leather shoes clicked against the wooden floor. Everything here was different from his world. No luxury, no ostentation, just honest simplicity. That's when he saw her. A little girl knelt before the altar. No more than 6 years old, her disheveled brown hair fell over her thin shoulders. She wore a faded pink t-shirt with a barely visible butterfly print and a denim skirt that had once belonged to someone bigger. Her white sneakers had holes on the sides, and the laces were tied in double knots to keep them from coming undone. In her small, delicate hands, she held a crumpled piece of paper as if it were the most precious thing in the world. Ethan stopped in his tracks and watched her. The girl spoke in a soft voice, but in the quiet church her words carried like whispers full of pain and hope. God, please listen to me again. I know I prayed yesterday and the day before, and every day this week, but my mum is getting so much worse. She can barely get out of bed now. The lady next door said she needs expensive medicine, but we don't have money for even a carton of milk. The girl's voice trembled, but she continued, I don't want to be alone. She's all I have in the whole world. Please, God, do something. I promise I'll be the nicest girl if you help her. I promise I won't complain when there's no food at home. I promise I won't cry when I'm cold. Just don't let my mommy go away. Ethan felt something tighten in his chest in a way he hadn't felt in years. There was such sincerity in those words, such pure, innocent faith. The same faith he'd lost the day Rachel closed her eyes forever, when all the doctors, treatments and prayers failed to save her. The girl stood up slowly, still holding the note carefully. When she turned, her eyes met Ethan's. They were brown, too big for her small face. There was no fear in that gaze, only a deep sadness no child should carry, and a determination that was astonishing. They stared at each other for a few seconds. Ethan wanted to say something, but the words refused to come. How could he explain to a child that the world is sometimes too cruel? How could he tell her that prayers aren't always answered? The girl walked toward him with small but determined steps. Did you come to pray too? She asked, with the casual ease only children have when talking to strangers. Ethan nodded, unable to speak. I pray here every day, she continued, looking around as if the church were her home. My mom is so sick, and I don't know what else to do. I tried to help her, but I'm too little. She extended the crumpled note toward him, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. This is my last prayer to save my mommy. Ethan took the note with hands that shook slightly. The paper was damp, maybe from tears, maybe from the rain outside. It bore small fingerprints and was folded several times, as if it had been read and reread. The handwriting was that of a child, crooked letters written in purple crayon. Dear God, my name is Ellie and I am 6 years old. My mommy, Monica, has been very sick for 3 weeks. She coughs a lot and has a fever and can't get out of bed. The lady next door said she needs to see a doctor right away, but doctors cost money and we don't have a single penny. Please God, I beg you on my knees, save my mommy. I promise I will share my snack at school every day and help clean the church every Sunday if you make her well. I promise to be obedient and not give anyone trouble. Please don't let her die. I only have her in the whole wide world. Without her, I will be all alone, and I am very scared. If you can't make her well, please at least don't let her hurt too much. She moans in pain all night and I don't know how to help. Ellie Dawson P.S. If there's a way to send an angel to take care of her, I would be so grateful. Tears came without warning. Ethan hadn't cried since Rachel's funeral. For 2 years, he had locked himself behind a wall of pain and anger, refusing to feel anything but emptiness. But there, reading those words written by little hands, everything he'd held back collapsed at once. Silent tears streamed down his face as he read the note a second time. The crooked handwriting, the misspellings, the innocent promise to share her snack, the desperate plea for God to send an angel, all of it broke him in a way he never expected. "You're crying," Ellie observed, her voice free of judgment. She stepped closer and gently touched his hand. "My mommy always cries when she's in too much pain. Are you in pain too?" Ethan wiped his eyes with the back of his hand and handed the note back. His voice was hoarse. "I am, little one. I lost someone very important to me some time ago." Ellie nodded with a wisdom that didn't suit her age. "I know how that is. When my daddy left last year, I cried a lot too. But my mommy said sometimes people leave, but the love they left behind stays right here," she said, pointing to her chest. "It still hurts sometimes, but that love never goes away." She took the paper back and folded it carefully, as if it were a treasure. "Do you think God will hear my prayer?" "I pray here every day, but sometimes I wonder if he's listening." Ethan looked at that little girl with eyes full of hope and desperation, and felt something inside him that he hadn't felt in 2 years. A desire to act, a need to do something, a purpose. "I think he will," he replied, and for the first time in a long time, he wasn't completely lying. Ellie smiled, the first real smile Ethan had seen in years. It was a smile that lit up her face despite all the sadness. "Thank you for reading my letter. Sometimes it helps when someone shares the sadness with you. It feels a little lighter." She turned and walked toward the exit, her small steps echoing in the quiet church. At the door, she stopped and looked back one last time. "I hope you feel less sad. I bet the person who left you didn't want to see you crying so much." The door closed softly, and Ethan was left alone with his thoughts and tears. The drive home was a blur. Ethan drove on autopilot, his mind still processing the encounter in the church. Ellie's words echoed in his head. "I bet the person who left you didn't want to see you crying so much." Rachel really hated seeing him sad, even in those last days at the hospital, when she could barely speak. She would hold his hand and whisper, "Smile for me, love. Your smile was always my favorite thing in the world." The house greeted him with its usual silence. 45 rooms, a prime lakeside view, imported furniture from Italy and France, everything top of the line, everything expensive, everything empty. Ethan poured himself a glass of whiskey, a 25-year-old Macallan that cost more than most people's annual salary. But the bitter taste in his mouth didn't come from the drink. He sat in the leather armchair where he and Rachel used to unwind after hard days at work. She would snuggle up next to him, her bare feet resting on his legs, telling him about her day while he massaged her shoulders. "How was work today?" she would always ask. "Better now that I'm home," he would always reply, and it was true. All the success, all the money, all the achievements only mattered because someone was waiting for him at home. Someone who cared about the man, not the billionaire. He closed his eyes and saw Ellie's note again. The crooked handwriting, the desperate plea, the innocent promise to be good forever. The P.S. asking for an angel. He remembered when Rachel was sick. The best oncologists in the country. Experimental treatments in Switzerland. Medications that cost more than luxury cars. He had spent fortunes trying to save her. He moved mountains, called in favors, used all of his influence. Nothing worked. All the money in the world couldn't buy another day with Rachel. But maybe he could give Ellie's mother a chance. The question struck his mind like lightning. Could I change someone's fate now? For the first time in 2 years, Ethan Marlowe felt something beyond pain and emptiness. He felt purpose, a reason to act, a chance to do something that truly mattered. Outside, the wind swayed the trees in the garden Rachel had planted with so much care. Inside the house, for the first time in a long while, Ethan did not feel completely alone. He had a little girl to find, and a mother to save. Ethan couldn't sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Ellie's face. Those big brown eyes too big for her age, her trembling voice begging God not to let her mother die. The words written in purple crayon, "I only have her in the whole wide world." At 5 in the morning, he gave up trying to rest. He showered, put on a pair of jeans and a simple t-shirt, clothes he hadn't worn in years. It made no sense to show up in that neighborhood wearing an Italian suit and shoes that cost more than most people's rent. Margaret arrived promptly at 8, as she had for the past 10 years. "Mr. Marlowe, you look different today. Cancel all my appointments this week, Margaret. But sir, the meeting with the Japanese investors—" "Cancel everything," Ethan repeated, grabbing the car keys. "And Margaret, if anyone asks where I am, tell them I'm tending to personal matters." Margaret watched him walk toward the garage with a mix of concern and hope on her face. It was the first time in 2 years she'd seen her boss in a hurry to leave the house for something other than work. St. Mary's Church was empty when Ethan arrived. The same silence as yesterday, the same golden light filtering through the colorful windows. But today something felt different. Today he wasn't there to escape his pain. He was there to find someone. He walked to the altar where he'd seen Ellie the night before. The place still held the energy of the little girl, as if her desperate prayers were lingering in the air. He waited for an hour, then 2. Ellie didn't show up. An elderly man entered to light some candles. Ethan approached him. "Excuse me, sir, do you know of a little girl who comes here to pray?" "Brown hair, about 6, named Ellie." The man smiled kindly. "Oh, little Ellie. She comes here almost every day, poor thing. She lives over in the community, across the bridge. Her mother is very sick, she told me." "Do you know exactly where?" "I don't know the address, but it's easy to find. It's one of the simplest houses, right at the end of Main Street. The girl always stops by Mr. Joe's bakery when she comes this way." Ethan thanked him and left. For the first time in 2 years, he had a clear goal. The community was only a 15-minute drive from the church, but it felt like another world. The streets were unpaved dirt, the houses small and simple, some with broken roof tiles and walls in need of paint. Children played in the street with homemade balls. Stray dogs slept in the shade of trees. Ethan parked near the bridge and walked. People looked at him curiously, a well-dressed young man clearly out of place, but their gazes weren't hostile, just curious. He found Mr. Joe's bakery easily. It was a small shop with a simple display case full of golden loaves of bread and homemade pastries. The smell from inside made his stomach growl. "Looking for someone, young man?" asked a man in his 60s, sweeping the sidewalk outside the bakery. "I'm looking for a girl named Ellie. Brown hair, about 6 years old." "Oh, Ellie. Good girl, that one. She passed by about 2 hours ago. Bought some bread. She said her mother was worse today." Ethan's heart pounded. "Do you know where she lives?" "Of course. Everyone here knows everyone. Go down Main Street, turn left at the 3rd intersection. It's the little blue house at the end, really needs a fresh coat of paint. But be careful, young man. Monica, her mother, is in very bad shape." Ethan followed the directions, his chest tightening with each step. The houses got simpler as he moved away from Main Street. The 3rd left turn was a narrow side street with only 5 houses on each side. The little blue house was indeed at the end. The paint was peeling, and the tiny wooden gate sagged on a broken hinge. A small yard in front had a few flowers. Someone was trying to keep alive against all odds. That's when he saw her. Ellie sat on the sidewalk in front of the house, leaning against the wall. Beside her was a brown paper bag with a few loaves of bread. She wore the same outfit as yesterday, a faded pink shirt and an oversized denim skirt. But today she wasn't praying. She just sat there, staring into space, with an expression no child should ever have. Ethan approached slowly. When Ellie saw him, her eyes widened in surprise. "You, sir, the one from the church." "Hey, Ellie, do you remember me?" "Of course I do. You cried when you read my letter." Ethan crouched down to her level. "I thought a lot about what you said. I wanted to help your mother." Ellie's eyes filled with tears. "The lady at the hospital said they need money to admit her. A lot of money. But I only managed to buy this." She pointed to the bag of bread. "She hasn't eaten in 2 days. She's very weak." "Ellie, where is your mom right now?" "In there. She fell this morning and couldn't get up again. I tried to help, but I'm too little." Ethan's blood ran cold. "May I see her?" Ellie nodded and stood. The front door was open. No lock, just an old curtain separating the house from the street. The interior was even simpler than Ethan had imagined. Her tiny living room with a patched-up sofa, a small plastic table, and mismatched chairs. The walls were bare cinder block, and the floor was rough concrete. Yet everything was clean, arranged with care by someone who had very little but held on to it dearly. "She's over there," Ellie pointed to a corner of the room. Ethan looked and felt the world stop. A young woman, no older than 25, lay on a thin mattress on the floor. Her disheveled blonde hair clung to her sweaty face. Her skin was as pale as paper, her breathing labored. She wore an old nightgown and was covered by a tattered sheet. Monica was clearly very sick, very, very sick. "Mommy," Ellie knelt beside her. "The man from the church came to help us." Monica opened her eyes with great effort. They were the same brown as her daughter's, but lacked any shine, glazed with fever. "Ellie, don't bother people," she whispered hoarsely. "My name is Ethan," he said, crouching on her other side. "Your daughter is a very brave girl." Monica tried to sit up but had no strength. A violent cough took her over, and Ethan saw small drops of blood at her lips. The impulse was immediate and overwhelming. Ethan didn't think, didn't hesitate, didn't calculate consequences. He simply couldn't leave things as they were. "Ellie, I'm taking your mother to the hospital now." "But sir," Monica tried to protest. I can't pay." "Don't worry about that," Ethan said, carefully scooping Monica into his arms. She was as light as a wounded bird. "Ellie, come with me." The hospital was 20 minutes away from the community. Ethan drove as fast as he could, Monica unconscious in the back seat, Ellie holding her hand and whispering, "It will be okay, Mommy." The angel I prayed for has arrived. In the emergency room, everything happened quickly. Ethan gave his name at reception, and doctors, nurses, and a stretcher appeared. Monica was taken inside while he handled the paperwork. "Do you have insurance?" the receptionist asked. "Private." "I want a private room, the best doctors available." "Sir, you'll need a credit card authorization for—" "You won't," Ethan said, handing over a black card. "Do whatever is necessary. Money is no object." Ellie sat in a blue plastic chair, swinging her legs, when the doctors returned. "Severe pneumonia," the doctor explained. "Probably been going on for weeks. Another day or two more and—" He didn't finish the sentence. "Will she be okay?" Ellie asked, running to the doctor. "She will," he replied. "It will take some time, but with the right treatment, your mother will recover." That's when Ellie broke down. All those weeks of fear, the burden of responsibility no 6-year-old should have. Nights without sleep caring for her mother, desperate prayers, all of it came rushing out at once. "Is she going to die? Are you going to leave her there alone?" she cried, clutching Ethan's shirt. Ethan knelt and pulled her into his arms. Ellie was small enough to fit entirely in his embrace, trembling with equal parts relief and fear. "You're not alone anymore," he said, feeling something break and then rebuild inside his chest. "I promise." They spent the rest of the day at the hospital. Monica was admitted to the best available room overlooking the garden with all the necessary equipment. The doctors began treatment immediately. Strong antibiotics, IV fluids, oxygen. Ethan took care of everything. He talked to the doctors, signed forms, and made sure Monica got the best possible care. For the first time in 2 years, his money was serving something that truly mattered. Ellie stayed by her mother's side. Sitting in a chair next to the bed, she held Monica's hand and told her about her day. "Mummy, Mr. Ethan is so nice. He brought us to the hospital in a car. And you know what? The doctors said you will get better, that you just needed the right medicine." Monica was asleep, but Ethan was sure she heard every word. Late in the afternoon, a nurse brought dinner for Ellie, a plate of rice, beans, chicken, and vegetables. The girl's eyes lit up. "Can I eat all of this?" "Of course, sweetie," the nurse said with a smile. Ethan watched Ellie eat with an appetite, that showed how many meals she had skipped in the past weeks. With every bite, she looked at her mother sleeping and whispered, "When you wake up, I'll share my food with you again." At 8 that evening, Monica woke up. She was more lucid, breathing easier. "Ellie," she called in a weak but clear voice. "Mommy, you're okay." "The doctor said you'll be fine." Monica looked around the room, clean, modern, with fresh flowers on the bedside table. Where are we?" "In the hospital, Mommy. Mr. Ethan brought us here." Monica searched for Ethan with her eyes. He sat in a chair in the corner, watching the reunion. I can't pay for this," she said, tears streaming down her face. "How, you don't need to pay a thing," Ethan replied. "Your daughter taught me something important yesterday. Let me give back." Monica tried to speak, but no words came. She simply squeezed Ellie's hand and closed her eyes, relieved for the first time in weeks. Ethan stayed until Ellie fell asleep in the chair beside her mother's bed. A nurse brought a small blanket and covered the girl kindly. For the first time in 2 years, 3 months and 18 days, Ethan Marlowe felt alive. Not happy. He would always carry the pain of losing Rachel, but alive, with purpose. He looked at Ellie sleeping, one hand still touching her mother's, and felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Outside it began to rain again, but this time, Ethan didn't see the rain as something sad. He saw it as something that cleanses, that renews, that prepares the ground for new things to grow. Tomorrow would be another day, and for the first time in a long time, he was eager to see what that day would bring. It was Monica's 4th day in the hospital. The doctors had been clear that morning. The pneumonia was responding well to treatment, but would require at least 2 more weeks of hospitalization. "Cases like this don't resolve overnight," explained Dr. Martinez, the pulmonologist in charge. "She's been sick for a long time before arriving here. Her body needs time to fully recover." Ethan had spent the last few days practically living at the hospital. He slept in the chair in the room, ate in the cafeteria downstairs, and worked on his laptop when Monica and Ellie were asleep. Margaret appeared twice a day with urgent documents, but the company functioned surprisingly well without him, a discovery that both surprised and, in some way, relieved him. Ellie hadn't left her mother's side for a moment. She slept curled up in the chair, took her baths in the bathroom attached to the room, and ate the meals Ethan ordered to be delivered. She talked endlessly to Monica, telling stories, singing songs she'd learned in class, drawing with colored pencils a kindly nurse had given her. But today, Monica looked noticeably better, sitting up in bed with ease, breathing comfortably, color returning to a face that had been pale for so long. "Ethan," she called when Ellie went to get water in the hallway, "I need to talk to you about something important." He came to her bedside. In the past days, he'd learned much about Monica Dawson. She was 24, working as a cleaner in 3 different houses to support her daughter. Her ex-husband had disappeared when Ellie was a baby, leaving only debts behind. Monica had no family. Her parents died when she was a teenager, and she grew up in shelters until she turned 18. "You saved our lives," she said, tears in her eyes, "not only by bringing me to the hospital, but by giving us hope when I thought we had none." "You don't need to thank me, Monica." "I do. And I know you have your own pain to deal with." "Ellie told me you lost your wife." Ethan nodded. In the past days, he'd told Ellie a bit about Rachel, how they met, what her smile was like, how she loved planting flowers in the garden. The girl listened with the understanding of someone who knows loss, even at her young age. "The doctor said I'll be here 2 more weeks," Monica continued, "and I'm very worried about Ellie. She can't stay in the hospital every night. It's no place for a child. She can stay as long as needed. No, Ethan, she needs routine, a proper bed, somewhere to play. She needs to go to school. She's already missed a week of classes." Ethan realized where Monica was going, but waited for her to speak. I wanted to ask you a very big favor, bigger than anything you've done for us so far." Monica took a deep breath. Could you take care of Ellie for these 2 weeks? Bring her to your home? I know it's a lot to ask. I know you barely knew us until a few days ago. I know you have your own life, your company. Her voice trembled. But I have no one else in the world, Ethan. And she's attached to you in a way I've never seen. She talks about you all the time when she thinks I'm sleeping. Tears streamed down Monica's face. I trust you. I don't know why, but I trust you completely. Maybe it's because Ellie prayed so hard for an angel, and you appeared exactly when we needed you. Maybe it's because I see in your eyes that you know what it's like to lose someone you love. Ethan felt something shift in his chest. For 2 years, he had run from any emotional responsibility. Now Monica was offering precisely that, the chance to care for someone, to matter in someone's life again. Monica, I would be honored to take care of Ellie. Are you sure? She can be a handful. She's curious, asks a lot of questions, sometimes wakes up at night with nightmares. I'm sure. Monica held his hands. Thank you. I have no words to express my gratitude. You're giving me a chance to recover without worrying if my daughter is okay. Just then, Ellie ran back into the room. Mommy, the nurse said you're much better today. I am, sweetheart, and I have news for you. Ellie sat on the edge of the bed, her eyes wide with curiosity. Mr. Ethan is going to take care of you for a few days while I finish getting better here in the hospital. Really? Ellie turned to Ethan. You're really going to take care of me? If you want me to, yes. Ellie jumped off the bed and ran to hug Ethan tightly. I do want you to. Can I see your house? Do you have pets? Do you have a garden? Can I help you cook? Monica laughed, the first genuine laugh Ethan had heard from her. Slow down, little one. One question at a time. Ethan's house was a 30-minute drive from the hospital. During the ride, Ellie didn't stop talking for a second. Is your house very big? Does it have a pool? Do you like cartoons? What's your favorite food? Do you know how to make pancakes? My mommy makes the best pancakes in the world, but she can teach you when she gets out of the hospital. Ethan answered every question patiently, smiling at the girl's endless energy. How long had it been since he heard so much life inside a car? How long since he truly smiled? When they arrived at the gate, Ellie fell silent for a few seconds. Wow, was all she could say. The mansion towered before them. 3 stories, well-manicured gardens, a fountain at the entrance, huge windows reflecting the afternoon sun. This is where you live? Yes. All alone in this whole house? Alone. Ellie processed that information while Ethan parked in the garage. Must be so quiet. It is. I don't like quiet. I prefer when there's the sound of people. Ethan turned off the engine and looked at her. Then you'll like it here. It's been a while since this house heard the sound of people. Ellie's reaction upon entering the house was everything Ethan hadn't expected. Instead of being impressed by the luxury, the expensive furniture, or the size of the rooms, she was fascinated by the small details. She ran to the living room window to look out at the lake. She discovered the echo in the foyer and started shouting, "Hello," to hear her voice come back. She found a piano in the music room and pressed a few keys, laughing at the sound. "Can you play?" she asked. "A little." Rachel was the real pianist. Could she teach me? The innocent question struck Ethan. She's not here anymore, remember? Oh, that's right, Ellie said matter-of-factly. But you can teach me what she taught you. So that way it's like she's still teaching through you. Was this Rachel's bedroom? Ellie asked as Ethan showed her upstairs. Yes, it was. Was she beautiful? Ethan pointed to a photo on the nightstand, Rachel smiling on the beach during their honeymoon. She was the most beautiful person I've ever known. Inside too. The question caught Ethan off guard. What do you mean? My mommy always says some people are only pretty on the outside, but real beauty comes from within. Was Rachel beautiful inside too? She was the kindest person I've ever met. Ellie nodded solemnly. That's why you're so sad. When you lose someone beautiful inside, it takes longer for the sadness to go away. Ethan showed Ellie the guest bedroom where she would stay. It was a large room with a double bed, a solid wood wardrobe, a desk, and a reading chair by the window. "It's so big," Ellie said, looking around. "My room at home is 3 times smaller." "You don't like it?" "I do, it's just different. Can I put my drawings on the walls?" "Of course." Ellie opened the small backpack she had brought from the hospital. She pulled out a few crumpled drawings, all made during her days at the hospital. One of her mother in a hospital bed smiling, one of colorful flowers, and one that caught Ethan's eye. It was a simple drawing in colored pencil, 2 people holding hands in front of a house. One tall, one small. "Who are these people?" Ethan asked. "It's us. I drew it when I was at the hospital. The nurse said drawing good things helps them come true." Ethan felt something tighten in his throat. "Can I stick it on the fridge? My mommy always sticks my drawings on the fridge." "Sure." They went down to the kitchen. It was modern, with a central island, stainless steel appliances, and marble countertops. Ellie ran straight to the huge refrigerator and began taping her drawings to it with the adhesive tape Ethan found in a drawer. Suddenly, the cold, impersonal kitchen gained color and life. The child's drawings contrasted with the sophisticated environment in a way that was both funny and touching. "Now it really looks like a home," Ellie said, satisfied, watching her work. "A house without a kid's drawing on the fridge isn't a home, it's just a pretty place." Ethan looked at the refrigerator. In 2.5 years, he had never put anything on it except food. Now it was decorated with a 6-year-old's drawings, and somehow it made more sense than all the expensive decor in the rest of the house. At dinner time, Ethan didn't know what to cook. His diet for the past 2 years had basically consisted of takeout or simple sandwiches. He hadn't prepared a proper meal since Rachel died. "Can you cook?" he asked. Ellie sitting on the kitchen counter observing him open and close cabinets. "Not much. I know how to make scrambled eggs. My mommy taught me." "Want me to teach you?" Ethan laughed, the first genuine laugh he'd had in a long time. "I think that would be a good idea." Ellie took over the kitchen with the seriousness of a professional chef. She taught Ethan how to crack eggs without getting shells in the pan, how to stir at the right speed, and how to add a little milk to make them creamier. "The key is not to rush," she explained, standing on a chair to reach the stove. "Food made in a hurry doesn't taste good. You have to make it with love." They ate at the kitchen table, scrambled eggs, toast, and orange juice. The meal was simple, but Ethan couldn't remember a more delicious bite. "Do you live alone?" Ellie asked, stirring her eggs with a fork. "Yes, since Rachel passed away." "Yes. You had a wife?" Ethan stopped chewing. The question, asked with the innocence of a child, hit him hard. "I did. She meant everything to me." Ellie nodded with understanding. "My mommy means everything to me, too." The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It was a silence of mutual understanding. 2 people who knew what it meant to love someone more than life itself. 2 people who knew the fear of losing that someone. Ethan looked at Ellie, messy hair, a shirt stained with egg, speaking about her mother with the same love he felt for Rachel, and felt something ignite in his chest. It wasn't happiness, not yet, but it was something, a connection, a purpose, a reason to care again. "Thank you for taking care of me," Ellie said quietly, breaking his thoughts. "Thank you for letting me take care of you." She smiled, and in that smile, Ethan saw a future different from what he had imagined for himself. Not a future without pain. He would always carry Rachel's absence, but a future where that pain could coexist with other things. Good things, things worth living for. Outside, night had fallen. Ethan Marlowe's big, silent house was no longer silent. It was filled with questions, laughter, drawings on the fridge, and scrambled eggs made by small hands. It was full of life again, and for the first time in 2 years, 3 months and 21 days, it felt not only right, but necessary. It was almost 9 o'clock when Ellie began to yawn. They had spent the rest of the afternoon exploring the house. Ellie discovered the library and was fascinated by so many books on shelves that reached the ceiling. She found Ethan's office and pretended to work at a huge desk, signing important papers with the seriousness of an executive. She visited every room like it was an adventure, filling empty spaces with her natural curiosity and spontaneous laughter echoing through the silent halls. Now, in the guest bedroom, she had taken a bath in the enormous bathtub, a splash-filled adventure that made her laugh because it felt like a little pool just for me.